Hello, welcome to ACE Online and welcome to Daily Current Affairs Initiative. So we'll see the current affairs related to the last day of January 2024, right? So these are the articles that we are going to cover today. First one is South China Sea. We will see what is the issue, what is actually a South China Sea, what are all the countries bordering to the South China Sea. These are all very important for our exams. So we'll see in detail. Then snow leopards. So government has recently released the report. So we'll see what is the snow leopards and what are the data related to that report. Then Indian Stamp Act 1899. So the government is trying to revamp this by bringing the new Stamp Act. The Indian economy, a review report. So this is a little bit crucial thing for this year because government has today only said that there won't be any economic survey. No economic survey for 2023-24. No economic survey. So you need to note this. So in place of this, Department of Economic Affairs has released this report. 74 pages report. We will see briefly, but we will come up with a separate video because in place of economic survey, this becomes very important this year. There will be more questions from in any of the competitive exams from the data released by government. So this document is released by government itself, so it becomes very important. Then test tube rhinos, so artificially revamping or bringing back the rhinos that has been extincted through test tube baby. So we will see that in detail. Then United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, so international organization, recently certain countries has stopped funding it. We will see in exam perspective. Then Corruption Perception Index, that was a report released by Transparency International yesterday. So we'll see the Indian rankings and all. And then some factual pointers. Of course, there will be some practice questions at the end of the session, right? So without delay, let's begin the session. Okay. Yes, so very good evening. Now we will see the first article of today. Just give me a second. Yes, right. So this is the first article today, South China Sea. We will see the context, why it is there in news. First thing, Philippines and Vietnam. So there are two small countries in the Southeast Asia, right? So in the Southeast Asia, if you see Philippines as well as Vietnam are two small countries, they have signed an agreement to collaborate with each other in South China Sea. So there is a lot of issues in South China Sea. We'll see what is the issue, why there was an agreement. First we will discuss what is South China Sea, and then we will see what is the role of China, and then we'll bring all the countries that are involved in South China Sea, right? Then we will see what is the context. So I'm just briefly telling you, there is an agreement between the two countries to support each other in South China Sea. Okay, right. So first we will see what is South China Sea, right? So if you have any doubts, you can post here for asking queries. So we'll elaborate those things if you have any confusion. So about South China Sea, if you observe this region, this is also very important for exam point of view. What are all the countries surrounding it and where actually South China Sea, all these things becomes very important. You might have seen lot of questions from South China Sea if you have written competitive exams, right? So this is all South China Sea from end of Malacca Strait, which comes under the Indian Ocean. So this is Malacca Straits. From the east of Malacca Straits, starting from Singapore till the borders of Philippine Sea here, and then East China Sea here. So all this region is nothing but South China Sea. We will see what are all the countries surrounding. Don't worry, just observe so that your eyes will catch up in the exam even if your brain forgets. Sometimes eyes help you to recollect the facts, right? Through images. This is the South China Sea. We will see what are all the countries that are surrounding the South China Sea. Okay. First, it is an arm of Western Pacific Ocean. So where it is located? It is located west side of the Pacific Ocean. If you go towards the right side, there is a more Pacific Ocean towards America, the North American continent. So it is located in the west of Pacific Ocean. This is also important in which ocean it is located. And then it is bordered by China. This is very important to remember. Taiwan, So observe the figure and then you remember. So China, everybody knows, this is the China and this is Taiwan, second country. And then third country is Philippines, an island nation. So here, this is Philippines, right? Third country. Fourth is Malaysia, right? So Malaysia is, yes, here. So it is the western boundary of South China Sea. So here Malaysia, and then Indonesia. This is Indonesia, right? This is Brunei, the small country above Indonesia, that is Brunei. And then finally Vietnam. So Vietnam is also one more country bordering the, yeah, so here it is Vietnam. So there are all these countries which are surrounding the South China Sea. From exam point of view, you need to know where is South China Sea and then what are all the countries bordering it, and also you need to know what are all the water boundaries that are surrounding South China Sea. So here the first water boundary, the most important one, here Malacca Straits. It is the western boundary of the South China Sea, Malacca Straits. Malacca Strait, right? So this is also the water body that is surrounding South China Sea, and then there is also connected by Taiwan Strait and Luzon Strait. So these two are also the water boundaries. See here. So this is Taiwan Strait. See what is actually strait? Strait means a water body connecting two land masses. Here there are two land masses. This is China and this is Taiwan. So in between there is a passage, that is water body, that is called as strait. Okay. So I'm repeating again, strait means a water body connecting two land masses. So here we have Taiwan Strait bordering the South China Sea, and also we have Luzon Strait. Luzon Strait is between Philippines and Taiwan. Both are land masses and this is a water body. Okay. So this is Luzon Strait and Taiwan Strait. So you need to remember three things here, the Taiwan Strait and then Luzon Strait and also Malacca Strait at the western boundary. So these are all very important. And then two major archipelagos will show you. Two major archipelagos that are Parcel Islands and also Spratly Islands. So these have many times has been asked in the exam. There are two archipelagos that are, archipelago means we have discussed in one of the sessions previously. It is a group of islands rather than having single landmass. There is a group of islands in one country. So Parcel Islands as well as Spratly Islands. So see here, Parcel Islands and Spratly Islands. Here there are within South China Sea, there are small islands controlled by China. Here we also have Scarborough Shoal. So this is also an archipelago. These three also you need to remember for the exam, right? So now we have seen South China Sea. Any doubt? We have factually corrected everything in the South China Sea. I hope you understand and you need to remember all these things for our exams. Okay. Now we will go into the issue. What actually the South China Sea issue, why it is there in news repeatedly, we will understand it. First, there is a very important significance of South China Sea. That's why people or countries are fighting for it. The first most important is it is a very busy international waterway. So most of the trade between the countries happens through shipping lines. And most of the shipping lines, approximately 5 trillion economy, passes through South China Sea. What is the economy of India? So it is just $3.5 trillion, right? And we are trying to get $5 trillion by 2026, right? So here it is more than the trade that is passing through is more than Indian GDP. That's what I was telling you. Whenever you are remembering the facts, try to compare with something other fact so that you will remember. This is a popular fact, everyone has to know. So try to compare it with the popular facts, you will remember the sub facts that you need to remember, right? So one importance is it is very busy waterways which trade passes through, and is also having very rich source of hydrocarbons. And many reports has proved that there are more than 11 billion barrels of oil, which is very important, and also 1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. No need to worry about how much it is there and all, that is not relevant for our exam. Just making you know the importance. There is a huge amount of oil as well as natural gas in South China Sea. That is the third importance after these hydrocarbons and waterways. And also fishing ground. It is one of the popular fishing grounds. Very high nutritional fishes are located in this region. That was proved scientifically. So this is also very important for fishing grounds. that will promote economy, and also finally trade route that can be connected to the first point. So these are all importance of South China Sea in the global map or global economy. That's why the countries are fighting. First, there are several countries. We have seen what are all the countries bordering it. According to the international agreement, there are certain rules and regulations, right? So all the countries bordering almost claim that this water is part of this country. For example, Philippines claim this part, Taiwan claims this part, Vietnam claims this part, Malaysia claims this part. So many countries in the South China Sea bordering it, they are claiming that this water region is ours. But China, it is claiming everything is ours. Not Malaysia's, not Vietnam's, no divisions. All this part, this is called as 9-dash line. So if you see this, a cow tongue shape, this is called as 9-dash line that was named by China. They are showing some records historically, some 1000 years, 500 years before records, that this is part of us without proper credible sources. So here what is the dispute? Some countries are claiming certain parts of South China Sea, and China is claiming all South China Sea is part of China. So that is the dispute, right? So that is the dispute among the countries which are surrounding. The main issue here is China claiming all the South China Sea to be part of it, right? Including other 6-7 countries that are surrounding it, right? So these are the issues, the dispute. I hope you understand. So these are the points to make you understand, or for future purposes, right? You can make a note. Now, so there is a dispute internationally. So who will resolve it? There is certain bodies to resolve it. As this is a ocean dispute, I mean the water, the dispute related to the water, ocean water, there is a international organization under United Nations that is called as UN Convention on Law of Seas, called as UN clause. Very, very important. So this is the body responsible to handle the international water boundaries. Under it, there is one court. Under this organization, there is one court that is called as Permanent Court of Arbitration. Arbitration means resolving the dispute. So there is a court under UN clause, and in 2016, it has ruled that 90% of what South China Sea is claimed by China is illegitimate. So out of the territory that China is claiming, all of South China is part of its own country by showing some magical maps that they have created their own. This body has said that 90% what you are claiming is illegitimate. Whatever the sources that you have put forward to us are illegitimate. They are not credible sources. So in 2016, what UN clause said, whatever the China is claiming, they are not credible. So all the countries are valid. I mean, they can share their waters. But what China has done? China has outrightly rejected the dispute. Even though China is part of UN clause, they did not accept the court judgment. They have said that we are not accepting it. We will resolve this with bilateral countries. We will resolve it with Vietnam. We will resolve it with Philippines. We will resolve it with Malaysia. But what the countries they are facing? China is one of the superpowers now, competing with USA. That's why in negotiations, these countries, small countries, were not able to get the favorable conditions. So China is just putting this and all, and those are not acceptable to these countries, right? So that's why these disputes keep persisting. So what now? What we can do? So there are certain measures like USA come into the picture. They are supporting certain countries, right? And China is claiming most of the territory. They are affecting other countries. So still the dispute persists. So we need to see how it will be handled in the coming years with the negotiation or maybe war. So we have to wait and watch for the dispute, this dispute to be resolved, right? So that is the context. Going back, that Philippines and Vietnam recently, they have faced certain issue with the Chinese vessels. So whenever they are going to, whenever the country ships are going into the South China Sea, these Chinese ships are coming and shooing away. They are attacking, or they are, doing certain things which are not very much favorable to those countries. So that's why these countries have come to agreement that we will support each other, right? So that is the context. Any doubts in this? Yeah, so that is about the South China Sea. We have discussed where is it and what are all the facts and what is the dispute among the countries, what is the present condition. So we have discussed comprehensively. Next is snow leopards. So the context is very direct. Union Ministry for the first time have released this report related to the snow leopards and their numbers in India. So this is the first scientific survey that government has conducted and they have put forwarded. For prelims specifically, any exams that you are writing becomes very, very important, right? So we will see what is the statistics, which states are topping it, all these things are very important for our exam. Before doing the, or looking the data, we need to know what actually is snow leopard, right? So snow leopard is one of the 5 big cats in India, including tiger, right, leopard and snow leopards. So there are 5 big cats. Now this is one of the big cats. And the exam point of view, in which places in India it is located? It is located in the mountain regions of Central and Southern Asia. So throughout Asia, it is located in Central and Southern Asia. So India is part of Southern Asia. So in Himalayas, it is located. So if you see in the context of India, it is located in Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh and Ladakh as well. So Ladakh is now a separate union territory. So these are the states which are bordering with the Himalayas and the snow leopards are located in these states. They are not located in other states, right? And Hemis National Park in Ladakh. Hemis National Park in Ladakh is very good is having snow leopards. So very important where which national park is popular for snow leopards, they may ask. Hemis National Park in Ladakh is having very good number. And why? What is the importance of snow leopards? They play a key role in predating. So there will be certain crops popping up, certain species popping up which are not favorable for environment. So these are all the predators which have very keystone species, we can say, that it will show the health of the Himalayas, right? So these are all about the snow leopard. Now we need to know the conservation status as well for our exam. Certain species in the world are very important and are available less numbers. They are given high protection, and certain species like you can take crows, rats and all, those are not important. They are not given very much important. So what are the species that are very less in number and are important for ecology? You need to remember. Here IUCN Red List, Indian International Union for Conservation of Nature, we have vulnerable. So it has given vulnerable status. So there are a lot of status we have discussed in one of the previous sessions. There are 8 categories and out of it, this falls under the vulnerable category. Okay. And under the Convention on International Trade and Endangered Species, there is again one more international agreement between the countries, that is Convention on International Trade and Endangered Species. Under it, it was given Appendix 1, which is high important. Appendix 2 is little bit less important. So it is protected under Appendix 1, and within Indian Wildlife Conservation Act or Wildlife Protection Act, it is kept under the Schedule 1 with the higher protection, right? So these are all the facts, the conservation status related facts of snow leopard. Now, what the government has released the report, you need to very cautiously remember these things. These facts are very important. So this is actually the first ever scientific exercise conducted by the Indian government that I have already told. And who has conducted this survey? This is also important. Wildlife Institute of India. Wildlife Institute of India is the body which has conducted the surveys and collected the data with the support of various states which are having snow leopards, along with Nature Conservation Foundation and Mysore. Within Mysore, this National Conservation Foundation is located in Mysore, and also World Wildlife Institute of India. So these are the 3 bodies that are involved in taking the data. Okay. Now we will see the data which is relevant for our exam. You can just remember that this is the first ever scientific data from the government and which bodies are involved in collecting the data. So they have conducted from 2019 to 2023. All these data that they have collected of last 4 years. That's why it is very important. It is a most recent one. Now we will observe the facts that the report has presented to us. Only few facts are relevant. That will be sufficient for our exam. Among the states where the snow leopard is available, the Ladakh is having the highest number. What is the total number that government has put in front in the report? So you can see in the beginning itself, right? So total how many leopards they have reported? We'll see somewhere it was kept. It was around 719. It was around 719. So total snow leopards that they have recognized was 719. Out of it, the total was highest in Ladakh. This you need to remember. Which union territory or state is having highest number of snow leopards? So this is Ladakh, followed by Uttarakhand. So that too will be sufficient for our exam. And the total area that they have reported of roaming of the snow leopard is 93,392 kilometers square. So this will be sufficient for our exam. Rest of the data are very minute and not relevant for our exam, right? So we have seen the context and what is snow leopard, what is the conservation status, and finally the data put forward by the government for snow leopard. So all these things are very important for our exam. Any doubts? Does India have such issues in Indian Ocean? AIM CPWD. Yeah. So see, yes, India have certain issues with the Indian Ocean region, but it is very minute. We can take Sri Lanka as an example. We have certain islands, Kachatiyu Islands, and certain regions where there is a dispute between India and Sri Lanka, right? And also certain regions with the Bangladesh, but now it was resolved. Beyond this, we don't have such disputes in the Indian Ocean region. We are already having very good relations with all the Indian Ocean states, the countries, right? And we have launched lot of initiatives like Sagar Initiative and many more which are coordinating. But unlike South China Sea, India does not have too much disputes excepting with Sri Lanka, right? So that is the case. Now the third one, total 718 leopards. Okay, so thank you. The total is 718, not 719. So total 718 leopards. Very important. You can remember in the India. So in Ladakh, it is having the highest number, right? Now we'll move to the next article, that is Indian Stamp Act 1899. So the fact, the case of Indian Stamp Act is very brief. You don't need to worry about too much until unless government is coming up with the new act. Okay, so once the act is passed, we will discuss lot of provisions which are relevant for our exam. But as of now, we are discussing very briefly to give an idea what actually the Stamp Act and how it is being used. So the context is this: Center proposed to revamp or repealing the Indian Stamp Act, and they want to bring the new Stamp Act in place of 1899 Act, because this is much older. When Britishers were ruling in India, they have passed the act, and we are still following lot of such acts in India, right? Okay, so before going to the Stamp Act, what is the provisions and all, we'll understand what is stamp duty. Okay, so government want lot of revenue, of course, to conduct welfare provisions towards the poor. So there are lot of such taxes which government will come up with, right? And one such tax is Stamp Act. So whenever you are transacting the property or any physical assets or any assets put under by the government, like letters of credit, promissory notes, checks, all these things, whenever there is an exchange between the two individuals, there is certain amount of tax where government will collect. It will vary based on the property, the type of property and the amount that is being transacted. So government will collect certain amount of tax, that is called as stamp tax. So whenever you are transacting money, you need to attach certain stamps over the property, right? So this is very popular thing. You might be aware about it. So based on that, the government will collect the tax, right? So here one important point is this: stamp tax or duties are levied by central government. So levied means the amount that need to be collected, the planning need to be done, everything will be done by the center, but the amount goes to the states, concerned states. From where the stamp tax is collected, those taxes will directly go to the states. Appropriation means distribution. So the appropriation of tax or the distribution of tax will go to the states, but the provisions, the rules, the amount of tax, everything is decided by the center. Very important. This is how the federalism thrives. This is kept under the Article 268. Stamp duties are kept under 268 and clearly said that central government only can put the rules, but finally the amount will be distributed among the states from where stamp duty was levied, right? So what is Indian Stamp Act 1899? So we already know the stamp duties and all. So it is a money related statute, that means an act passed by the parliament that levied in form of stamps on the instruments recording transactions. So whatever the transactions that are being done has to be paid to the government. So this provision is there, and under this act there is a section 2, which every document by which any right or liability is or purports to be created, transferred. So if you are creating any property, if you are transferring any property, so all these things will be levied by the government. The tax will be levied by the government. So I am not discussing about the details of the act, that is not relevant for our exam. Just understand they have defined what is the stamp duty and how it is can be collected. So this is a brief thing. You can just remember which year it was passed, that will be sufficient, and get an idea about it. Now, Indian Stamps Bill 2023, this is also not that relevant, because only if the bill becomes an act, then it becomes important, because there may be changes in the coming days. So the certain provisions that we can discuss in brief are, so the government says that the Indian Stamp Act of 1899 is a redundant. Most of the provisions are redundant. They are not suitable for the present time, because it was enacted way back 100 or 120 years before. So most of the provisions are inoperative. We have already changed a lot of rules under many of the provisions. So there is almost a lot of provisions which are inoperative, not coming into the existence. And also it does not talk about digital e-stamping. Because of increased digitalization, now the stamping can also be done through computerization. Those things were not existing that time, right? So that's why these digital signatures, digital stamping were not clearly mentioned in the previous act, that is 1899. So government is bringing all these things now, the digital stamping, digital signature, all these things they want to bring in form of an act separately by removing the existing old act. It seeks to increase maximum penalty from 5,000 to 25,000. So you can go to the government offices near where the stamping takes place. There is a lot of corruption. There is a lot of misuse of provisions, right? So that's why government is increasing the fine for those individuals who are committing the crime or civil crime, we can say, right? So by what you call reducing the money towards the government will get less amount of tax. So those individuals will be punished with higher penalties, right? So that is about the bill. We will see the details of act if there is a lot of provisions which are relevant for our exam. Okay, so yet to be passed. Now only briefly we have discussed the bill. Now Indian economy, a review report. So I was telling that there won't be any economic survey this year because the elections are coming in the next few months. So government cannot present the complete picture of last 1 year or the coming years. So that's why government has briefly released a report, Indian economy, a review. So they have discussed in the last 10-15 years what has happened and all. There is a 74 document. So we will come up with the video separately, what are all the data that is relevant for our exam. We will come up with such separate video. But here I just want to discuss finance minister's speech, that there will be some challenges in the coming few months or few years to the Indian economy. Only those 4 provisions that I want to discuss in a brief manner. First one is advent of artificial intelligence. So the increase in artificial intelligence is going to threat the service sector. That is, our service sector contribute approximately 55% to the GDP. So if there is a drastic change in artificial intelligence, that means there will be drastic change in the employment picture as well. So this is one of the challenges that finance minister has presented. Balancing energy security with the economic growth. So our economy is growing, but the energy security, so how people are consuming electricity, whether all the individuals are getting energy or India as a whole can get energy from the external sources, because India does not have energy. So this is like oil and all. So that's why this is the second challenge. And the third is lack of availability of skilled workforce. So we have a lot of workforce, but they are not very well trained. They don't know how to operate the machines. They don't know how to expertise in certain specific fields. So this is also going to be a biggest challenge in the coming years. Sustaining high growth rates. So we have predicted that India is going to experience 7% of economic growth, but whether it can sustain for the coming years in backdrop of Russia-Ukraine war, Israel war, or any other global crisis, lack of investments. So this is going to be a biggest challenge. These are the 4 biggest challenges that finance minister has presented before us, right? Any doubts in this? So next one, test tube rhinos, that was recently in news. So the last week, the scientists announced that first ever rhino pregnancy achieved by transfer of lab made rhino embryo into the surrogate mother. So this is not a natural pregnancy, rather they have transferred, we will see what is happened and all backdrop. So they have tested in the embryo in the lab and then they transferred into the rhino and they were able to produce it. I mean the pregnancy has been achieved. So the background is very simple. The context is very simple, that recently the first ever rhino pregnancy has been achieved through lab based embryos. That is the context. So the last two northern white rhinos are living in Kenya. So there are only two northern white rhinos in the world. So they are living in the Kenya. This is also very important. They are living in Kenya. So the governments or the countries are trying to increase their numbers across the world. Now we will see the background. Actually, why they have adopted this lab-based pregnancy. First we will understand the background. Then we will see the present scenario. Okay. So in 2009, four northern white rhinos. We will see what is white rhinos and all. Don't worry. Just understand the sequence of events that has happened, why they have why they have adopted the lab based pregnancy. So there are very less numbers across the world. So four northern white rhinos were brought from zoo in Czech Republic, right, and a European country. So this country Kenya has bought four white rhinos from Czech Republic, two males and two females. Okay, two males and two females. The two males, Sunni and Sudan, you no need to remember. Two males, what has happened? They have died because of health issue. They have died after a few years of bringing from the Czech Republic, and two females were incapable of reproduction. So they were not able to produce naturally because of pathological reasons, the bacterial reasons and all. So two males died and two females, they were not able to reproduce naturally, right? So it took 13 attempts after. Then what happened? So as we have come to conclusion that the females cannot reproduce naturally, we have adopted the artificial in vitro fertilization. We will see what is in vitro fertilization also. That is also very important for our exam. So the Kenya government has adopted in vitro fertilization, that is lab based production. So they have attempted more than 13 times. It was continuously failing it. So they were trying artificially to mix up the sperm and egg to reproduce, but that was not able to succeed for 13 attempts. Now this year, the last week, they were able to succeed it. That is the context. This is the background connecting to the context, right? Now for exam point of view, we need to know what is white rhinos, what is in vitro fertilization as well, right? So that we will see now. First we will see what is in vitro fertilization. Certain, even in humans it is possible. Certain people or certain animals, certain species are not capable of producing the offsprings, that means the children, right? So in such case, it can be done artificially, right? So here we will understand the process. You no need to worry about this point. I will explain through diagram. So if you have any doubts, you can, read here. Let's look into this diagram. First, what they will do. So they will collect the egg. So egg from females and sperm will be collected from males, right? So they will collect and they will be put it in lab. They will be put it in lab. That means a tube, test tube you can say. So there eggs and sperms will react and it will lead to formation of an embryo. So understand the process. First collecting the egg, then collecting the sperm and reacting in the tube, the artificial tube. In the laboratory conditions, there will be certain temperatures and all. You no need to worry about it. After reaction, it will be leading to the embryo. Okay. So this embryo is nothing but a fertilized egg as well as sperm. So before giving the birth to the actual child, it is called as an embryo. And this embryo will be injected into the uterus of the female animal, right? So then this uterus after certain, this embryo after certain point of time, it will lead to the final formation of the actual offspring, right? So that is the process. These are all the things that we have explained here. I hope you understood. It is very simple thing, right? So this is called as in vitro fertilization. They have done this to the rhinos. Now we need to know about white rhinos as well. We need to know white rhinos as well. Any doubts? I can't see any comments. I am going forward. I hope you are clear with the in vitro fertilization. This is very important for all the exams from science and technology, right? So here we will see about white rhinos as well. White rhinos are the second largest land mammals. First one is elephant, of course. So this white rhinos are the second largest in terms of gigantic size. They are the second largest. Important to remember. They are also known as square-lipped rhinos. So rather than lips to pointing, unlike other rhinos, they have a square-lipped, right? So not pointed, rather upward slip. So it is also called as square-lipped rhinoceros, right? Now, two genetically different subspecies exist. So white rhinos are of two types. Northern white rhino, so two types. White rhinos are of two types. One is northern and other one is southern rhino. Northern rhino is critically endangered. That means very few less numbers are existing, whereas southern white rhino is near threatened. That means it is a little bit much. So it is categorized in the IUCN list. It is critically endangered. Northern white rhino and southern white rhino is near threatened. So this you need to know, right? So that is about the, so you understood the context, right? So they were able to succeed after 13 attempts. They were able to in vitro fertilize this artificially, and now the northern white rhino got the pregnancy, right? We have seen what is white rhino and what is in vitro fertilization and understood the context as well, right? Yeah. Now moving to the next article, United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees. So the context is very direct. Recently some Western countries including USA and UK, they have stopped funding this organization. They have stopped the funding for this organization. We will see what is actually this organization, what is the objective, then we will also see why they have stopped the funding. Okay. First, so UNRWA, I will call it as a shortcut, United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees. After 1949, see, you understand the actual existence of the Middle East. So Israel was actually not existing in 1919. 1919, before 1919 it was not existing. After World War I, as Turkey lost in the Middle East, that was a major country. So after 1919, UK was the time, British, Englishes were the popular country, the most superpower. They have promised that Israel will be given a separate territory there in the Middle East, where they are considering it as a sacred for Jesus Christ, right? So they have given the territory, and Israel was supported by other Western countries because of the religion or many other reasons. They have grown up as a bigger country by 1949. After World War II, what has happened? There was a war among Arab countries and Israel. So Israel is a Christian religion and Arab countries are Islamic. So they had a fight. And in 1949, there was a immense migration of people from Palestine who are locals there. They have migrated from Palestine into different parts of the nearby Middle East regions. So in that process, they were not able to get proper education, proper food, proper security. So this organization was formed, United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees. It has formed in that year, and finally they were able to support the migrants who are located in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, many other Middle East countries. These people, whoever has migrated, and this organization has come up for the support in terms of education or food security or health education, everything they have covered to the Palestinian migrants. So this is the objective of this organization. Now, why the funding has stopped? You all know on October 7th, last year 2023, there was an attack on Israel by the Hamas. Right? There was continuous rockets, missiles, and then there was a war still going on, right, between Hamas and the Israel nation, right? So Israel has concluded that the funds given by the Western countries, that is USA, UK and many other countries, to the Palestinian organization, that is this organization, these funds are being misused by the organization. It was said that around 12 people from this organization was supporting, 12 staff of this organization are supporting Hamas in the against the war against the Israel. And also there was lot of tunnels near the organization which Hamas were created. So without support, how can they create? So that's why Israel has announced that there was some connection between this organization and Hamas. Finally, this was talked to the Western countries, and Western countries has stopped funding to this organization. Right? So this organization, after that, they claimed that we don't have such things. They have also suspended some 7 or 8 members, and still the investigation is going on. Right? So that is the condition. Now, the last article for today, before taking the factual aspects, Corruption Perception Index. So yesterday there was a report, Corruption Perception Index 2023, which was released by Transparency International. Very, very important to remember in exams. So a report was released by Transparency International. That is the context. Now we will see what is actually the Corruption Perception Index. It is like a report collecting a data and forming a survey, then finally concluding the rankings. So it is nothing but an index which ranks countries to in the public sector itself, not on the private sector. So whatever the corruption that is existing in public sector, they will take all the data and then they will form a report. They will rank the countries, right? So we need to know about that as well. So you don't need to worry how they collect the data, how this is being done. So all this is not relevant for our exam. You just need to remember who is associated with it and how many countries are participating, what is India rank, what is the top rank. That will be sufficient, right? So it defines corruption as abuse of entrusted power for private gain. So you are working for public, but for your own purpose or for your own private family purpose, if you are indulging in certain thing and collecting the money, that is called as corruption. So this index clearly defines the what is meant by corruption. Now the index is published annually, okay? Every year the report is being published by the non-governmental organization. So this Transparency International, which is releasing the report, is a non-governmental organization, not related to United Nations or any other international body, right? So the first report came in 1955. The total countries that are participating in the report is 180. It uses scale of 0 to 100. So if you are getting 0 means you are highly corrupted. If you are getting 100 means you are the purest. There is no corruption. So 0 means most corrupted. Right? So this year report data is also very important for our exam, right? So we'll see what is the data that is relevant for our exam. India ranked 93 among 180 countries. So which is bad thing. You can see the red mark, countries which are highly corrupted. So India is ranked 93, very, very important for exam among 183, right? Then overall score was almost stagnated at 39. So we have just seen out of 100, if you are getting 0, you are highly corrupted. So India's score is only 39. Okay, last year it was 40. Okay, so approximately same. Rank was actually 85 last year. This year we have degraded 93 to 93. And Denmark has the top country followed by Finland. So try to remember the two things, so that will be sufficient for our exams. Okay. So this is about the Corruption Perception Index of 2023. Now we'll move to the factual pointers which are relevant for our exams, competitive exams. Khelo India Winter Games 2024 is going to be conducted in Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh. This is also important. So 2024 Khelo India Winter Games. Already Khelo India games are going on in Chennai, but this is Winter Games. This will be happening in Ladakh and Jammu Kashmir. So here they have released the muscat. So we have just discussed about the snow leopard. So this snow leopard with the name Shin-Yi-She or Shan reveals. So this was the what you call muscat, and this is the 4th edition which is happening. So first edition has happened in Ladakh only way back in 2020. So this is the 4th edition of Khelo India Winter Games. Next, International Energy Agency has released the report Electricity 2024 report. Who has released this is important. International Energy Agency, right? So it said that India will outpace the China, the amount of electricity which it consumes by 2026, right? So by 2026 we will beat China in terms of overall consumption. Coal will meet 68% of India's electricity. So the total amount of electricity that we are consuming is coming from thermal power plants, that is 68% from coal. Presently we are in 71%, it will reduce it to 68. So renewable energy is stagnated at 21%. This is the details of the report, right? So those are the two facts. Now let's move to the practice questions quickly. So I hope people are ready now to answer. You have understood the class. We'll see the questions. Which one of the following countries does not share boundary with South China Sea? So among the four countries, which country does not share boundary with the South China Sea? So anyone take 10 seconds and answer the question. Right? So what is the answer for this? So Brunei we have seen, so that is boundary. Indonesia we have seen, that is also boundary to South China Sea. Then Malaysia. So answer is Thailand. So Thailand does not have border with South China Sea. Yes, you are correct. Answer is D. Next, consider the following statements about snow leopards. So we have seen about the snow leopards. Let's see the question. They are native to Indian subcontinent. They are native to Indian subcontinent. That is the first statement. They are listed as critically endangered in IUCN list. So in the International Union for Conservation of Nature, so it is listed as critically endangered. And third statement is, according to recently released report by Ministry of Environment, Ladakh has the highest number of snow leopards among the Indian states. So these are the three statements. So can anyone answer this? I hope someone can answer. Right? Yes. So let's go ahead. First statement, it is not native to Indian subcontinent. It is existing in other parts of Asia as well. It is not only native to Indian subcontinent. It is also present. It is not actually native, right? It is native to Himalayan regions and then some Middle East countries. So this is statement stands wrong. It is listed as critically endangered. No, it is listed as vulnerable. Vulnerable. Right? So it is listed as vulnerable. So statement 1 and 2 is wrong and third is correct. Yes, Ladakh is having the highest number, right? 477. Next, consider the following statements about in vitro fertilization. It is vulnerable. Yes, answer is not B actually. It is answer is B, right? 3 only is the answer, right? Consider the following statements about in vitro fertilization. So we have seen the process. The name in vitro fertilization refers to fact that egg is fertilized by sperm in the laboratory and not in the woman's reproductive tract. So that is the first statement. Fertility therapies are collectively called as assisted reproductive technologies. So whatever the technologies that are being assisted through technology, those are called as assisted reproductive technology, and this is also correct. So answer is C, right? Then corruption perception index is released by which of the organization? So we have seen this very direct question. Transparency International. We have seen the report. Last question. Red data book sometimes mentioned in news is associated with UNFCCC. No, this is not organization. So we have seen International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, right? So this is about today's session. Thanks a lot. Keep following and keep subscribing. Thank you.